So these are five hidden bottlenecks that are killing your revenue, even if you have leads. A lot of remodelers will say the exact same thing. We're getting leads, but revenue still feels the same. And this video is why that happens. Leads tend to rarely be the real problem. They can be, but a lot of the times they're just the most visible part of the system, and they're not the biggest bottleneck that you're facing. The first one is going to be lead quality versus lead intent. So it's not just about the quantity, because the quality of lead varies a lot. If your setup is optimizing for volume, for cost per lead, you're going to get, let's just say in a nice way, terrible lead quality. And if you're actually optimizing for intent, the timing, the budget reality, consecutive KPIs, you actually have proper qualification, then you're actually going to get better quality inquiries. You're going to have better intent. You're going to save time and you're going to make more money. And let's just say you don't do it, you're going to create a gap where sales teams look busy, and they are busy, but your closing rate stays flat. Your actual revenue that you're bringing in doesn't really improve at the rate that it should. And there is a very high diminishing return on investment on additional leads. The second one will be the qualification happens too late. Now, a lot of remodelers will qualify leads after they submit. And that is where the exact issue is, right? Like sales will spend times on bad fit prospects, good prospects get delayed, teams burn out, close rates drop, and you just end up wasting time. You don't approach marketing or client acquisition in the way that it should be. And a good way to remember this is that qualification should protect sales capacity and not waste it. It doesn't matter if you get less leads. Like here's like the biggest kicker, right? I see a lot of businesses, a lot of remodelers get so worried about, oh, my leads are dropping. But like, are they dropping because you're increasing the quality? Then that's a fantastic thing. Like you want to save time, especially if you're doing 7 and 8 figures. Like a big part of your operating expenses are just going to be payroll, right? And wasted payroll is probably the worst thing. Like it happens, yes, but if we can avoid it, we probably should avoid it. And this is one way where it looks like we're growing, but if they're not qualified leads, you're just wasting payroll, you're wasting employee time, and that isn't the best way to approach this. Third one is going to be that sales is disconnected from marketing. Now, marketing will generate demand, yes, but sales are actually going to inherit the consequences, right? If you have disconnected sales and marketing, if they're incongruent, where your messaging doesn't match, your expectations are misaligned, objections repeat, feedback loops don't exist, you don't frame objections, you don't actually use your messaging, your marketing material in the way that you can, you're going to keep losing out on potential, because your marketing will keep pushing, your sales will keep compensating, but revenue will stay the exact same. And again, this ties back to not like, oh, it's a grave crisis, but that it's a diminishing return on investment, even though you're getting in more inquiries, more leads, unless you're actually properly congruent throughout the entire funnel, unless your messaging is completely fine, your expectations are properly aligned, your objections are pre-framed, and you actually have feedback loops where you can reach out to people again and again, you can nurture them over time, because that is important. And I'll just go over that in a second. The fourth thing is going to be no follow up or reactivation system. Now, this is one of the biggest leaks, right? A lot of remodelers will take excessive time to reach back out, right? Terrible speed to lead. They'll talk to a lead maybe once or twice, they'll lose them, they'll never re engage, and they'll only rely on the highest level of intent. This is an issue. Why? Because old leads, old estimates, dormant demand are ignored, and that's lost revenue that's just sitting in your CRM. I just want to show you this little chart over here as an example, right? Like there are different types of buying intent when you have leads. There's a research intent. Obviously, there are different ways to go about this, but this is just a rough idea on how, whenever you have a lead, there's going to be different levels of buying intent, right? There's research intent, like the gathering information, and they just want to check on educational content. There's solution comparison, where they're actually aware of your solution and they're researching alternatives, they're actually properly reviewing stuff, and then purchase intent, where they want to get it done and they just want to make sure that the pricing is all right with them and they're aligned with the way that you provide stuff. Now, different levels of intent require different levels of action. And Let's just say we don't want to complicate it, we don't want to go that deep yet, right? Like we don't have those types of operations yet. The reason why this matters is because if you only rely on the most interested prospects, the ones who are literally asking to give you their money, you're going to lose out on people who are in the research phase and the solution phase, where you actually need to reach out to them quickly so that they don't reach out to a competitor immediately, right? You actually talk to them once, but you keep nurturing them afterwards too, and you don't let them just become an old estimate that's forgotten about. That is where you're leaking a ton of revenue, and that's just sitting in your CRM. Hopefully you have one. I've seen remodelers not have one even at multi seven figures, which is fine. I mean, but it's not ideal, right? Like it can help you scale till maybe seven figures. That's what a lot of hard work, old school way can help you do. But if you want to be more organized, if you want to have better efficiency, if you want to not lose out on revenue like this, that's where a CRM comes into play. The fifth one, right? No one is going to own the full funnel. Now, this is the issue. I see so many remodelers have so many different vendors, right? Like three people for Meta, four people for Meta, two people for Google. They buy leads from different people. They may be trying to do it themselves simultaneously inside. And everybody's just owning a piece, but nobody's owning the actual outcome. And so when revenue dips, right, you're going to have lead vendors blame sales, sales will blame lead quality. And if you're an owner and you're obviously busy with operations or working on the business, you're just left guessing because you can't actually deep dive into it and solve the problem. It's not worth your time, right? That's why you hired people in the first place. But this is where the issue comes when you don't have somebody who's actually owning the entire funnel, the whole outcome. You're not going to get the same level of results that top tier businesses do. And again, this is also another chart just to tie into that, right? The reason why owning the whole outcome, the owning the whole funnel is very important is because of this, right? If you're trying to get in a client, it's not like, oh yeah, they just get to know about you and they pay you, right? Even with remodeling, where it's pretty obvious that the sales cycle is longer, a lot of people will visit you once, visit you twice, visit you three times, maybe 10 times on different occasions over a few months, over a few years possibly, because this is a pretty decent investment that they're making in, and they're going to do research. They're going to get retargeted by you. Ideally you have that in place. They're going to perhaps consume some content that you have, educational stuff. Maybe it's an ebook, maybe it's just videos, maybe it's a webinar, right? Maybe it's just a banner ad. And then they're going to visit again with higher intent, possibly inquire with you, and then they're still going to take a few more weeks to inquire, I mean, sorry, to make the final purchase. If you have a sales cycle that is like this, the idea that having different vendors is automatically going to give you the best results in the long term is just not true, right? It's just not going to be ideal, because nobody's going to own the entire funnel. Nobody will try to maximize our conversion rates at each point, which is they actually want to check you out in the first place. They want to then inquire with you, and then even when inquiring, you're nurturing them properly, and then they actually finally make the decision with you. Throughout every single stage, you want to be able to maximize your KPIs or maximize the rate that you're pushing them towards the next step. And that is why vendors cause an issue. Now, these bottlenecks, right, each might alone cost you 10 to 30%. But the reason why it's important is because when you stack it together, your close rates, let's just say you have bottlenecks in different domains, your close rates are going to drop, your efficiency is going to collapse, marketing costs will go higher, lead quality will go lower, and your revenue will stay the same even if your expenses are higher. And that's why companies, even though they just have leads, they miss their targets because they don't have deep clarity. I've mentioned this before also on their bottlenecks. And when they stack up, that is when the biggest issues happen. And the core lesson, right? Revenue is not always going to grow by just fixing one thing. Again, it can. There are obviously caveats there. Sometimes people have killer sales issues, they just need more leads. If that's your problem, please get it solved. But a lot of the times, like revenue will grow when your demand, your qualification, your sales, your follow-up, your capacity, and your attribution all move in the same direction. Like you want to make sure it's all congruent. And that is where actually having a proper system is important. Now, if you're getting leads but revenue still feels capped, it's usually one or two of these bottlenecks, perhaps more, working together. In the next few videos, I'm also going to show you how to zoom out, talk about what creates long-term value in a remodeling business, also show you what I've seen when it comes to actually exiting businesses, what's important when it comes to having, what's important to have in place to actually make growth predictable and then exit if you want to, or at least easier to operate. If you have any questions, if you want me to cover any other topics, please comment down below and you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can check our website too, it'll be in the link. Thanks for watching.